Thank you for joining us. This is the Gadsden Times Football Review. I'm Teddy Couch. This is Kevin Taylor, and we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're on now. Well, thank you for staying up late with us.
Yeah, thanks again, and we want to thank our sponsor, Blackstone Pub and Eatery, for being our sponsor tonight. And we had a lot of out-of-region games tonight, but some interesting games at that. Just a quick rundown of the scores tonight. Coosa Christian over Victory Christian, 10-7. Ragland over West End, 35-0. Helena over Southside, 13-7. Geraldine, 20-19 over Sardis. Glencoe falls to Hooks Bluff, 47-7. Pleasant Valley over Gadsden, 47-0. Etowah over Fort Payne, 21-14. Game you saw live, Teddy. Albertville over Boaz, 35-27. Alexandria over Cleburne County, 56-25. Cedar Bluff over Galesville, 55-0. Weaver over Cherokee County, 41-14. And Springville over Crossville, 43-13. Another big game that was out of region was Jacksonville over Piedmont. We had talked about 28-21 Jacksonville. So, like I said, there were some big upsets, and then of course we saw in 5A number 1 Briarwood fell in overtime, 14-7. So now the question is, with an Etowah win, where does Etowah move? Do they move up to number 2? Do they even go up to number 1? And how far down does Briarwood slide? Do they slide maybe just a slot or maybe 2? You know, we'll see.
Well, with a 42-0 win last week, Etowah drops to number 3, so I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe they'll be number 9 after this week. I don't know. So we'll see.
Patrick, thank you for joining us, and thank you for everyone else to join us. We thank you for having us. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, as we mentioned earlier, but we're up and running now, and it sounds like we had some interesting scores.
We really did.
Which ones, or were there certain ones that really caught your eye?
You know, Geraldine-Sardis game really caught my eye. Geraldine jumps out to a 20-0 lead, and then Sardis starts coming to make a comeback, and then Sardis scores with 1:46 left to play. And all they got to do is kick the extra point to tie the game, and they get flagged with a delay of game, and so they got to back them up 5 yards. So it's a 22-yard extra point, and it sails just wide right, and so that ended up really kind of being the difference. However, Sardis had some opportunities earlier in the game. You know, they did miss another extra point earlier in the game, this one was kind of surprising. To be quite honest, I did not foresee Geraldine knocking off Sardis. Matter of fact, I know I picked Sardis to win this one, and so that was kind of a shocker.
I talked with Sardis coach Gene Hill, for the preview this week, and he mentioned, he was worried about Geraldine's offensive attack. He thought they were really impressive. They run the ball hard, and he said not only that, they're really fast running the ball.
Yeah.
He thought, that could give them a little bit of trouble. But I was with you. I mean, I thought Sardis was going to win this one. And this one's tough, just kind of looking ahead as well. But Sardis goes to Alexandria next week, get back into region play. That's a tough one to get back into region play with. And coming off this Geraldine loss, that's tough. That's really tough.
Yeah, that's, they got to bounce back, and they got to bounce back quick because, we've hit the midway point to the season. Now it's a blitz to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And really, in terms of our coverage area, some of the bigger games are in the second half of this season. We've seen some games, especially in the first half of the season, kind of go what we thought was going to happen with some of our teams. But here toward the end, it's going to be a race.
Yeah.
Some for region championships, some just to get into the playoffs. So, let's just strap it on and get ready to have some fun.
Elizabeth asked if, are we shocked that Boaz lost? If you'd asked me before the game, I might have said yes, but being there live, I'm honestly not too shocked after watching Jacob Dindy roll up 349 yards on the ground.
Wow.
He on 24 carries, that's an average of 14.5 yards a run. that kid was incredible. And the thing is, he only had 77 yards at the half.
Well, and you look at his counterpart, Christian Collins. I mean, he runs for 308 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Right.
I mean, wow. I mean, you saw probably 2 of the better backs in not just in Marshall County, but probably in this area in
Absolutely.
Northeast Alabama.
Collins runs the ball so hard. We were talking about that before we went on.
Yeah.
Christian Collins, what a running back he is. You better come at him hard and tackle him hard because he's not going down easy, and he was a tough tackle tonight. But Jacob Dindy, he had all 5 of Albertville's touchdowns tonight, and man, he had a 78-yard run to cap it off late. And this is after he went out with a leg injury, and it looked like he couldn't hardly put any weight on it.
Wow.
And he goes out, and this is a pretty key moment in the game. Albertville's only up by a touchdown. They're able to stop Boaz. He comes back on the field. I was very shocked that he even came back on the field. First play, 78 yards to the house. That kid was a tough runner tonight, and he's a big reason Albertville wins that game.
Well, let me pose this question. Because this game got moved to Albertville because of sloppy conditions, is the outcome the same if this game was played in Boaz?
We know this was a Boaz home game, but it did not feel like a Boaz home game, just for, in terms of my opinion. It didn't feel like a Boaz home game in terms of just the atmosphere. And I do want to say, by the way, what a gorgeous facility Albertville has.
Really?
Oh, it's just gorgeous. It was beautiful. One of the most beautiful stadiums I've been to in this part of the state. It was phenomenal. I was excited to go there. But, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. It did kind of feel like an Albertville home game. You had Albertville's band on the field before the game. It just kind of had that feeling. But
yeah,
just a great game. Great atmosphere. Standing room only. Both sides were just packed, and it was awesome.
That's awesome. Some of the other games that kind of stood out to me, Teddy, Coosa Christian over Victory Christian tonight in a non-region game, 10-7.
The score everyone predicted.
Yeah. I mean, Coosa, they needed 54 points last week to win their region game over Decatur Heritage, and then they just settled for 10 tonight. Who would have thought that?
They showed they can get it done, in all aspects, though. Defensive battle or offensive showdown.
Yeah,
they can get it done both ways.
That was an interesting game. Coosa, they ended up, like I said, 10-7. All 17 points scored in the first half, and then in the second half, Coosa has a chance knocking on the door at the 1, the 7, and I believe the 10-yard line, and couldn't punch it in. Then Victory drives down to Coosa's 10-yard line, and Coosa holds strong and ends up winning the ball game. Caden Lipscomb for Coosa Christian completed 18 of 31 passes for a $187 and a touchdown. And then Dartavius Britton, just being a workhorse that he is at running back for the Conquerors, 19 carries and 111 yards rushing. Not a bad night.
The crazy thing for him, that would be considered a down night for some of the games he's had this year, too.
Yeah.
Not too bad when you're having a down night running for over a buck.
Yeah,
so.
I'm telling you. Some of the other games that really stood out to me was Etowah, Fort Payne.
Yeah.
Coach Drew Knowles expected a tough ball game out of Fort Payne, and he got what he expected. 21-14 final. Etowah was up 21-7, and then Fort Payne scored a touchdown fairly late. And Etowah, for the most part of the night, they just didn't seem to quite get things rolling offensively. They'd hit a long play, and then they'd just kind of stall out, or they'd get a big play, and then they'd have a penalty. Once again, DeRicky Wright, he had 1 rushing touchdown. He ended up with a pick 6. He ended up finishing the night with 2 interceptions for the game, and Etowah just rolling now, 6-0, and we go into next week back into region play, and they host Pell City. So how good this Etowah team can be, we'll see. Having talked with Drew Knowles earlier this week, his big thing was consistency, being consistent on offense, executing on offense, and it didn't sound like the Blue Devils were very consistent or executed very well again tonight. So, you know, there are some teachable moments out there. I'm sure there's plenty of teachable plays that he'll point out to his guys headed into this second half of the season. So, still, you know, we're not going to crown Etowah just yet.
Right, but then, you know, in the Blue Devils' defense, though, they go up against, for the second straight week, a team coming off a bye week. You know, it's 2 weeks to prepare for a really good football team, and they're going to have to deal with it again next week in Pell City. So,
Yep.
you know, these teams are going to be very well prepared heading into them. But at the end of the day, Etowah's come out with the wins, and that's all that matters. So,
yeah. Again, we want to thank everybody for joining us. You know, it's we're reaching that midnight hour right now. If you will, you know, again, we want to give a big shout out to Blackstone Pub and Eatery for being our sponsor. And then also, if you want to check out all the results from Friday night and check out our photo galleries, game stories, videos, go to thegadsdentimes.com. They should be up and ready to roll, so you'll see plenty of photographs and plenty of game stories online right now.
Patrick asked if Pell City is a region game. He said he don't think Southside and Sardis and Alexandria, et cetera, to play them. No, that's not a region game. That's a non-region one. But I feel like that's a good non-region game for Etowah.
Really?
I mean, you know, they're been kind of up and down. But that's a tough team. And I want to say, is Pell City, are they 6A or are they 5A? I can't remember.
I think they may be 6A.
And, you know, playing up's definitely not a bad thing to do. And that's going to make Etowah well tested heading into the rest of their region battle, you know, as the season goes along.
Well, that's a good, you know, I'm glad somebody was up and awake tonight, letting me know that was a non-region game, because I was a little was wondering if that was or wasn't, but you know, hey, it's been a long day, so.
Yes, it has. Pell City's physical for sure. Patrick said, yeah, they typically are a physical football team. I think that's going to be a good one for Etowah.
Yeah.
And Etowah's, we all know how physical they are. So
Yeah.
It's always going to be a physical ball game when the Blue Devils are playing.
Absolutely, and the way the defense has been playing, I mean, you know, they continue to kind of carry this team a little bit until they get that offense rocking and rolling. But you know, Etowah's shown glimpses in terms of their offense. It's just a matter of putting all those pieces together. So we'll see.
I want to say Etowah's giving up about 91 yards of offense a game. I mean, you can afford to have afford to have a little bit of bumps along the road offensively when you have a defense like that. But you definitely want to get that rolling and get that rolling soon. In the second half of the season's coming up. So
absolutely. Some other games: Hoax Bluff, 47-7 over Glencoe. You know. Glencoe ended up with 170 yards of total offense. I believe Hoax Bluff probably quadrupled that in terms of total offense. But you know, it's just another night for Hoax Bluff being Hoax Bluff. Another reason why they're number 2 in Class 4A.
Darian Meads with another big game, 164 yards, 4 touchdowns. And I want to say he didn't even play the entire first half. So.
No.
Another week for Darian Meads, and he just continues rolling, racking up those yards.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting, the guys that we're mentioning. I mean, golly, there are probably some coaches who wish they had running backs like what we've seen just in our area alone. You know, Collins and Dendy, you know, Britton, and then of course Meads too. My gosh, and then even if you go just outside of our area, the running back at Jacksonville, who ended up with 409 yards last week. So, I mean, we've got some quality running backs in Northeast Alabama.
Coach Rob would not be happy with me if he knew I was about to say this, but I don't think Coach Rob probably gets on Facebook that much. I don't need anybody telling him this. But that Jacksonville Hoax Bluff game at the end of the season is going to be so much fun. And very likely, unless something unforeseeable happens, will be for that region championship. That is going to be a fun ball game.
Wonder who's going to cover that one.
Oh, man, I would love to be at that one. We also got Etowah Boaz that week. That's going to be a fun week for sure.
Yeah, it really will be. Just a quick rundown of some of the scores. Like I said, Coosa Christian over Victory Christian 10-7. Raglan over West End 35-0. Helena over Southside 13-7. Geraldine over Sardis 20-19. Hoax Bluff 47-7 over Glencoe. And Pleasant Valley over Gadsden 47-0. Etowah 21-14 over Fort Payne, and then of course Teddy's game that he covered tonight live, 35-27 Albertville over Boaz. Boaz gets their first loss of the season, and then Alexandria over Cleveland County 56-25, and Cedar Bluff 55-0 over Galesville.
What do you think about this? Darian Meads, it seems like week to week he's getting, not playing the whole game, because why would you play him the whole game?
No.
There's no point in risking injury.
Right.
But, the yards he's putting up for a back of the year is not too crazy. But do you think him getting pulled early could hurt him?
It could, but there again,
that's the last thing Host Bluff's mind, but just for fun.
I don't want to get too much into back of the year or anything like that, because there's just a lot of football left to be played. I mean, we're at the halfway point, but Hoax Bluff could be playing 10 more ball games.
Absolutely, they could be.
So,
with the way they're playing right now, and I don't think the Host Bluff faithful will have too much to complain about with that one.
No. I mean, if they got to make a trip to Auburn, I'm sure they'll be glad to make that trip.
I mean, there's a bunch of winnable games for Hoax Bluff looking ahead. I mean, they got Asheville, then they got Cleveland County, and then Hoax Bluff's got at Center, which, Center's not playing the best ball they normally are, but that's going to be a toughie. Playing at Center is always,
absolutely.
Always is super tough. And then that leads them up to that Jacksonville game. So, I mean, that's 3 very winnable ball games heading into that Jacksonville game, and I don't think Hoax Bluff beat them in the last 7 meetings or so. So that's going to be a tough hump for them to get over, but, it's going to be a fun one.
Yep. If you haven't heard about Westbrook or Gadsden City, there's a good reason that you hadn't tonight. That's because they were off tonight. So just wanted to remind folks that, we're not sliding those two. They just happen to be taking a night off. So. And then, again, we want to thank Blackstone Pub and Eatery for being our sponsor tonight. Matter of fact, I went over there for lunch today, and I'm telling you, chicken bacon ranch quesadilla, man, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, that's definitely good. I've had it for sure. I don't know if we touched on this one, West End Raglan. That score really shocked me.
Yeah, I thought West End, for all the struggles they've had defensively, I just thought that West End had too much offense to Raglan's defense. Obviously, Raglan's defense just they showed up tonight.
I would have never guessed that score.
No.
That one really, that might have been the more shocking score I've heard all night. Not necessarily result, but the score was probably the most shocking one for me tonight.
Yeah. Looking ahead to next week, Coosa Christian goes to Faulkville. Etowah is hosting Pell City. Gadsden City hosts James Clemens. Gadsden will host Cleveland. Glencoe goes to Pleasant Valley. Hoax Bluff hosts Asheville. Sardis goes to Alexandria. Southside will play at Douglas. Westbrook gets back into action. They go to Ranburne. West End goes to Ohatchee. Albertville, after the big win over Boaz, they go to Hazel Green. That's not going to be an easy one for them.
No, it's not.
Hazel Green is an up-and-coming team. They just recently got a new head football coach, Smitty Grider. Smitty used to be at Park Crossing down in Montgomery. So Hazel Green, you're going to hear about that team maybe not so much this year, but as the years come and as long as Smitty's there, Hazel Green's going to improve. Boaz, they're hoping to bounce back. They host Crossville. Cedar Bluff's got North Sand Mountain at home, and then Cherokee County's hosting Aniana. That should be a decent ball game.
Yeah.
Because Aniana's really playing pretty good ball, and so that should be probably one of the better games. And then Piedmont versus Sachs. You turn around and you've lost to Jacksonville, and then you've got you got the #1 team in 3A. Wow.
Yeah. Patrick asked, who's Etowah's toughest region game left? You got Alexandria, and you still got Boaz left. I mean, which one would you say is tougher out of that one?
Well, if they're playing Alexandria, are they playing them at home or are they playing them on the road?
They are playing them. They're playing at Alexandria because I think I might be.
Then I'd have to say that's probably the toughest one, because if I'm not mistaken, Etowah is at home against.
Yes, they are.
Boaz.
They're at home against Boaz.
Yeah, playing on the road at Alexandria. I mean, I've always heard that it's tough to play at Alexandria.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's probably the toughest one.
Roland, thank you. He said Pell City is 6A, so I appreciate that. Yeah, Alexandria, Boaz, that's definitely two tough ones, and that may be your 2-3 seed in that region. Obviously, Southside and Sardis, they might have something to say about that, but, you're looking at those 4 teams battling for those last 3 spots. So, not necessarily super easy for Etowah, but I do think, Etowah, they're in control of their own destiny in terms of winning that region, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Again, we thank everybody for joining us, especially late tonight. And if you have any questions, please feel free to chime in on Facebook. We try to do our best to answer them. They may not always be right, but we'll do the best we can.
Daniel feels very confident in his Blue Devils. He has Etowah beating Boaz by 14 plus.
Wow.
Patrick, he agrees with what we were saying. He said Boaz is at home, so he feels like it's going to be way tougher for Etowah to go to Alexandria.
Yeah. That should be a decent ball game. Other games coming up this coming up week. Gadsden City, they've got to get on the winning side of things if they've got any shot of going to the playoffs. They got James Clemens, and that's not going to be an easy one. Clemens is not what they once were, but with their quarterback coming back from injury from last year. That's going to be a tough game for Gadsden City.
Yeah, two that really catch my eye. Sardis at Alexandria. Sardis needs that win big time.
They really do.
And that's going to be a tough one to get, but they need that for playoffs. I mean, just to put it simply, they got to get that win.
Yeah.
And then Westbrook going to Ranburne. Ranburne has been playing some good football. So it's going to be interesting to see how Westbrook goes to Ranburne and plays.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to figure out Ranburne. They kind of up and down, but Westbrook, that was a tough loss 2 weeks ago to Ohatchee. One thing, having been at that game that I saw with Westbrook, mentals, but those are coachable mental errors that they made, and so I look for Westbrook to bounce back. I think they'll bounce back, and I'll just go ahead and call it right now. I think they're going to win at Ranburne this upcoming Friday night. They're a improving football team week to week. So when we get to week 10, I would not be surprised if Westbrook isn't a major player going into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, we said heading to that Ohatchee game that if they could win that, they'd be taking the next step. I still feel like they may have took that step regardless of coming out with that loss.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we have, Daniel said the Etowah defense is legit, folks. Yeah, that's definitely true on that. There's no doubt. And Patrick said he thinks that Etowah Boaz will be no more than a 7-point win. Just my opinion, because he thinks Christian Collins is, how good he is.
Yeah.
Too early for me to go into a score prediction for that one. There's still a lot of football to be played, but that's going to be a fun one for sure.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those games. But like I said, there's a lot of football left to be played, folks. So we're not going to crown anybody just yet. There's some that may be worthy of that, but we're not going to jump the gun quite too soon.
It's crazy though. We're not too far to where we are getting to that point to where these regions are going to be shaping up, and we're going to be able to tell how it's going to come. I can't believe we're already at that point.
I know.
Donald asked, did we recap Hoax Bluff, and how did Darian Meads do? Darian Meads did his usual thing tonight. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, 164 yards, 15 carries, 4 touchdowns, all in the first half.
Yeah, I don't think he played a Hoax Bluff last offensive series, if I'm not mistaken. Daniel asked, do we think Briarwood will fall out of the #1 spot with them losing or not?
Oh, absolutely. I think they fall. The question is how far do they fall? Do they fall maybe to '2, maybe even #3? I don't see them falling too far. If anything, I could see them maybe just drop a spot, but 2 at the most, I think. But anything beyond that, no. That's about as far as they go. I think they fall maybe to #3. What happens to Etowah? Who knows?
I'm kind of with Patrick. He said 3, and I'm kind of on the thinking of him. You got to put Etowah above them. And to me, the way they've been playing, I know it was a little closer to this week, but they've won every game big besides this week.
Yeah.
You got to put the Blue Devils, at least #2. That's
We'll see.
that's just my thinking.
We'll see.
So.
Well, again, we want to thank everybody for joining us. We want to thank Blackstone Pub and Eatery for being our sponsor tonight. You know, we had it was a fun non-region week for us, and a majority of the teams will jump back into region play next week, and we hope that you jump back onto Facebook Live with us next week. Just a reminder, we'll be on Wednesday. If you go to the YouTube channel or even go to our Facebook channel and check us out, we'll be previewing the games coming up. And until then, we're about ready to head into the home stretch.
Yeah, we got a little bit more work to do. I don't know about you. I'm going home and going to bed. I suggest y'all do the same. It's been a long one, but it's been fun though, for sure.
Well, our time is up. We thank you for yours. We'll see you down the road.